Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to get started now. Welcome back if you've joined other sessions this week or if this is your first session. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Haley, and I'm also here with Peter from Modern Health. And typically, Modern Health partners with employers to offer their employees comprehensive mental health benefits. But during this really stressful and uncertain time, we're really excited to be offering these free community sessions to help both health users and non-users. Just quickly want to go over a few housekeeping things up front. You may have already noticed, but everyone's going to be muted. But we really want participation, so please use the chat feature, which I see a lot of you are already doing. Thank you. To ask questions throughout or provide comments, and you can also use the Q&A feature. We'll also be recording this session and sending it out afterwards, so if you missed anything, you'll be able to check it out. Our conversation today is with Modern Health's ICF certified coach, Lauren Krasny. She specializes in stress and anxiety, work performance, and executive coaching. And she's here today to give us some tips and lead a conversation on working from home, which I'm sure we can all benefit from right now. So before I hand it over to Lauren, if you want to click to the next slide, Peter's going to give a quick disclaimer.
Just to get the legal disclaimer out of the way, the content in this webinar is provided for educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please contact your healthcare provider for clinical needs and never disregard professional mental health advice or delay seeking it because of something you have heard in this webinar. So excited to have everyone join, and with that, I'll toss it over to Lauren.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for coming. This just provides a brief bio and background experience. I do coaching at Stanford in the business school, and I've done everything from executive coaching to health coaching for diabetes and heart disease risk prevention, and I do a lot with stress reduction and mindfulness, which is particularly important right now, and a lot of that is going to be addressed today. So I'm going to get started. And one thing I wanted to say is that with each slide that we share, I'm going to ask some questions, and we just would love for you to interact with us on the chat board and share your insights, your thoughts. It's just great to collaborate and hear your questions. And this is a community, so we just encourage you to do that too. So this is just the agenda, and right now, we are forced to navigate a really challenging time. We're trying to find clarity in an uncertain and frightening world. We're seeking comfort where there is pervasive fear and risk. And with so many people working from home right now, we're being forced to shift and adjust our routines, rituals, and lives. So adapting to change can be really difficult. And today's presentation is just going to focus on recommendations to reduce stress, maintain productivity, and help us all gear up mentally and emotionally for what lies ahead. We're going to provide you with actionable items that help you to avoid this analysis paralysis that we hear about, and to improve resilience and decision making, and hopefully fuel you with purpose and motivation and meaning to just proceed with each day during this difficult time. And so this is just about working from home, which most of us are doing now, almost all of us. Change is always hard, and it's really hard to stay proactive and productive, and it's stressful. Some of us are feeling lonely and socially isolated. So I'm going to be presenting some tips and recommendations to help us to deal with this new norm. So the first one is about exercising regularly from home. So there's a few suggestions here on the slide, but also, in addition to these, you can socially distance walk, you can run, socially distanced again, online exercise programs and videos. If you have weights or bands, strength training from home, biking, you can do an indoor bike or outdoor biking. And I'm curious to ask, and I'd love you all to chime in on the chat box, what types of exercise energize you? And do you have any other additional recommendations for our group on exercises you found that are effective to work from home while you're working from home.
Got resistance bands, burpees. A lot of people are saying yoga, Adrian, running, Zumba videos, fitness blender on YouTube, walking around the block, lunchtime yoga. Wow, you guys have a lot of sessions, and we're going to be compiling these as well and sharing them out to everyone. I'm learning some things as I chat too. Orange Theory has online fitness classes. Tone It Up. Core Power Yoga has free videos right now. Same with Barry's, has Instagram videos. Wow, these are all great ideas. Sounds like the YMCA has free classes right now too.
A lot of options right now. So thank you, Haley. And I'm going to go on to the next slide, which is, paying attention to ergonomics. So one thing we don't want to be a result of working from home is a bad neck or back pain. So it's really important to just pay attention to your posture. And in addition to that, another consideration is avoiding distractions right now. So obviously, this is to the extent possible. If you have children, now might be an ideal time to sometimes use video games or TV as a babysitter. And making sure you stretch regularly and just taking breaks throughout the day to exercise, to stretch, to just kind of get in touch with your body. We'll get into meditation later, which is also very successful in just helping you to decompress throughout the day. But I'd love to hear who has found effective ways to work from home in terms of where you work and how you avoid disruptions.
And to make sure we don't miss any questions you have for Lauren, if you could use the Q&A feature for questions, because there's a lot going on in the chat, that would be awesome. Someone said get off the couch is one of their strategies. Someone bought a standing desk. Someone thinks scheduling their day is really helpful. Headphones, moving between rooms, standing at their kitchen counter, putting a sign on their door when they're on a call, letting their family or roommates know when they're going to make a call, going for walks as breaks.
We got one question about on ergonomics for what I assume is mouse use or computer use. Do you have any tips? We have a participant writing in, I'm having a really hard time with ergonomics and I'm not sure what to do to help ease my hand pain. Any tips for ergonomics specifically for Apple Mac users?
That's a great question. And I'd like to open that up to the group to just share. I don't suffer from as much hand pain, so I just want to make sure that we're collaborating and bringing in the full force of the community. I use the external mouse that's to my side, which I find a little easier than the mouse on the computer, but I know everyone's different, so I'd be curious to hear how others navigate that challenge.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've already gotten some different ones, different ergo mouses, roller mouses, also wrist braces.
Oh, yeah.
Braces are helpful for some people. Someone wrote in that sometimes if the table is too low where your keyboard or your mouse is, maybe you lift that up by using books or other things that might be able to help elevate that.
That's what I'm doing right now.
That's great. I have a roller mouse, so it's external and it feels a lot lighter on your hand. But the wrist support is also a really good idea.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and we'll try to answer a lot of your questions. If we can't get to all of them during the middle part of this presentation, we have time at the end and we'll certainly loop back. One thing we did get a question, will the slides be shared with us? Yes, we will share these out at the end as well as a video.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the third suggestion, which is using video chats when possible. So case in point, people are engaging in more video chats now with both coworkers and friends and family. And this is a really good opportunity to reconnect with people, level up your communication, And people are setting up virtual dinner parties, champagne toasts, check-in chats. It's just a really great opportunity to call old friends that you haven't talked to in a while, to really, connect with family members and just people you care about and love. And also, just as an aside, for those of you who have parents or grandparents who aren't as tech savvy or don't really know how to use video chat, it doesn't have to be video. Video is ideal because you can make eye contact and see people, and it feels like more more a little like being in person when we're socially isolating and distancing ourselves. But you can still call, email, or text, and it's still very effective. And I'd love to hear, what methods have you found to be most useful and enjoyable in terms of staying connected and showing support?
We've got someone who's having a virtual party tomorrow.
Love it.
Zoom, virtual happy hours, Netflix party. I think that's a Netflix app where you can watch things together. Someone's having a virtual book club. Someone's team does daily morning coffee chats and end of the day wind downs. Someone's doing group exercise classes on Zoom. Virtual house tours. Someone's telling their niece to FaceTime them when they need help with their homework so they can give their parents a break. Virtual lunches. Some apps like Words with Friends to play virtually. These are all really great ideas.
We have a creative group here. This is really helpful.
Someone's playing a team game where they guess the baby pictures.
Fun.
Lauren, we got a question. Do you have any recommendations on where someone might be able to find free virtual events to participate in? Maybe some more of these, if they want to join a virtual book club. I don't know if you've heard about anything, or even anybody else who's participating on the chat, if they want to find more virtual.
I have heard, yeah, thanks, Peter. I have heard a couple things. Some people are going on Nextdoor, which is a really great resource just because it's local people. And even if there's not something specific to what you would want on there, you can always post it. It doesn't have to be local because all of this is virtual, but that is just a resource to kind of connect with your neighbors while you're socially distancing yourself. And I know people have been using that as a resource, not just to do virtual chats, but also to say, if there's anyone here who's immunocompromised or older, I can walk your dogs, I can, get groceries for you and drop them off. So I know that that's been a really great resource and tool, is the Nextdoor app or website. And then I think Facebook has a lot of watch parties and communities. Social media is always another good way to find like-minded people who are having the same struggles or have the same interests.
And just as a reminder, as people are sharing additional great ideas, we'll be compiling these and sending them out so that you can see what other people are suggesting as well.
So the next one is trying to get fresh air and sunlight. So this doesn't have to be exercise. Some people think, oh, does this mean I have to go outside and take a walk, which is obviously very beneficial, but this can just be enjoying the fresh air. You can be sitting outside reading, you can be enjoying a meal outside. Vitamin D and nature have a really calming, restorative, and uplifting effect. And so just making sure, if it's at all possible, to get some sun or get some fresh air each day. Another option, if you're socially distancing yourself, is to drive to a scenic area and just roll down your window and enjoy the view, and you still can maintain that social distancing. So I'd love to hear, what opportunities have you all had to get fresh air and sunlight recently?
People have been jogging, walking at lunchtime, walking their dog, sitting on their patio to sip their morning tea, eating on a balcony, planting a flower or garden, Just making sure to open the blinds and windows during the day. I know I keep forgetting to do that. Someone's shoveling snow, gardening, making sure to walk outside for 60 minutes every day. Do one-on-ones while walking. So instead of sitting at their desk, go for a walk outside. Reserving 1 hour each day to walk the dog or walk outside with their kids. Someone said it's been raining a lot in Chicago, so hard to do that there, but opening their blinds and just making sure that there's some fresh sunlight coming, or not sunlight, I guess, but they can see outside and have that light coming in. Meditation. Yeah, a lot of keeping the blinds open. These are all great suggestions.
So I'm glad someone said meditation, because that segues us into the next slide. You know, right now we're wanting structure and control and empowerment to guide us through this chaos and ambiguity. And meditation can really be an effective way to help us get centered and focused and allow us to cultivate a more positive mindset. So I think it's really important that you make your meditation something that resonates with you and feels authentic. And I want to kind of practice really quickly, just as a taste or a teaser. I'd love you all to just get comfortable and close your eyes and just focus on your breath. Notice your inhalation and exhalation and follow the rise and fall of your breath. Feel your body kind of shake a little to get comfortable and just optimize your comfort level. Roll your shoulders back, sit up straight, and now just open your eyes and see how that changes your mood, how it maybe uplifts your spirit, gives you a little boost. And that was less than a minute. So it's really important to remember that this is a valuable practice. We have meditation resources on the Modern Health website, and you only need to carve out 5 minutes. You know, it does not need to be a huge time allocation. And I'd love to hear some of your best practices for meditation, if you can share.
Some people are using different apps like Calm or Headspace. Balance app, I guess, is offering a free year subscription right now. Some people are listening to meditation podcasts. And as a reminder, if you're a Modern Health user, we have a lot of great meditations in our app as well that you can access, including one for deep breathing. Someone else has said that they've been watching the Monterey Bay Aquarium doing their free guided meditations on Facebook each morning that has videos of their animals. That's cool. Someone has their Echo play rain sounds and just relax with that. Looking at old pictures and thinking about happy memories. A lot of great options.
Keep these coming. We love to get inspired by all of you and your ideas and your creativity. So the sixth suggestion is to schedule rewards for yourself. And I recommend doing this daily. So they don't have to be obviously big rewards, but reading your favorite book or you know, watching a TV show or a movie, listening to music, a hot bath or shower, a favorite food, card word or video games. You know, let's get creative. Let's, you know, find different ways to reward ourselves and have that little something to be excited about and look forward to each day. So if you can share on the chat board, what are some of your favorite rewards that you can do at home?
Someone said, eat your favorite chocolate, watch Netflix, do some craft or hobby work like needle pointing, bake a special cake, walk the dog, some more baking, have a glass of wine, take 30 minutes to read, try a new recipe that you've been looking forward to trying. Just take a moment to sit and cuddle with your dog or other pet. Do some yoga or take a bubble bath. Do some side projects you've been putting off. Listen to an audiobook. Watch a funny movie. Clean closets. Take time to be grateful. Do some at-home spa activities. Another one for organizing.
Really good ones. Okay, I'm going to move on to the 7th tip, which is taking deep breaths and having a dialogue with your inner critic. So focusing on the what is rather than the what if. Right now, we're all trying to put this situation into perspective. And one way that I've been thinking about it is just the positive developments and progress with COVID-19. There's more testing kits, there's more hospital beds, there are health system improvements to deal with this pandemic. So this is specific to the coronavirus, but anything you're dealing with that feels stressful, it's important to kind of identify what part is hypothetical or a scenario that you're wondering if it could happen. That's kind of the anticipatory anxiety versus the what is, which is this is the situation and how do we process it? How do we deal with it? So when the what ifs come up, the best way to deal with that is with logic, evidence, and data points. So really addressing it like you're in a scientific laboratory and you're saying, how can you prove this? What is the evidence you have? That can really help to mitigate the ambiguity and the stress around these what ifs that pop up, especially in uncertain times. And I'd like to ask you all, how have you managed to reframe negative thought patterns around this situation, or just generally, what are your tactics or strategies for doing so?
You have deep breathing, praying, being grateful for what you have and being positive, practicing gratitude, giving to others who are in need.
We have an
Making sure-
interesting follow-up question off this too, related to the news and a lot of the speculation that you might see on different news programs or even online on social media. How might you suggest, trying to schedule or block out your schedule so that you can take the time to be in tune with what's going on, especially different local updates and updates from the government, without feeling overwhelmed with the news, though?
So Peter, that's an amazing question. And I was going to address it on the next slide, but I think we can now, to answer this question. Stress from a tragedy or a disaster, as we're experiencing now, it overly stimulates our brain. And when we're frenzied with constant monitoring and consumption of news and social media, we become reliant on external validation and information to influence how we feel. We get dopamine rushes if we get good news or some kind of a feedback loop that we like, but we also get crushing and disappointing frustrations and sadness and anxiety over, the bad news and the upsetting news, and of course the ambiguous news. So it's really critical that we set boundaries with social media and news, and check it intermittently so we still feel connected and still are able to stay on top of it. But we also need to anchor on ways to unplug, unpack, and process this information. And so this kind of gets into the next slide. So I'm going to move on to this slide, but we can keep talking about this. It's chunking your time intentionally. So it's really saying, how many times a day and for how long do I want to allocate to spend on social media and watching the news or reading the news, because it can be very addictive and it can be really draining. And you want to maximize your efficiency working from home, and also, accommodate people who are living with you but make sure to maintain boundaries and set restrictions so that it doesn't become all consuming or overwhelming. And so, to that end, I want to ask all of you, how have you been budgeting your time right now? And what opportunities are there to edit your current routine?
Someone says they've been scheduling time on the calendar for lunch and then making sure they actually sit at their table to eat. Also setting specific time for other meals as well as exercise. Making sure to stick to regular work hours. Someone suggested reading the news at night instead of the morning so your day is more calm. Someone else had a great suggestion for news, which is to delete the news apps from your phone so you're only accessing when you're intentionally doing it on your laptop. Someone's making a daily schedule and putting an alarm so that they're making sure they're actually doing the things. Ending the day with a short walk, just to kind of cut off work there before starting dinner.
One question we've gotten about how to manage work from home with kids, and how if you do have kids who are home, schools closed or out of session right now, what's the best way to manage the needs of them throughout the workday as well?
Yeah, and so this is going to depend on each household. If you have a partner to help you, if the kids are older or younger, there are a lot of circumstances that impact that. But again, if there's a way to chunk your time with kids, and I know a lot of kids are getting homeschooling. So, maybe doing your work from home if they have like a computer online curriculum, timing those to coincide with one another. Really structuring. I think there's been a lot of success with structuring kids' time, and also just making a schedule that really takes that into consideration and says, when can you be with your kids? When is the time that they can be doing something else or engaged in something else, that you can be working from home? Kind of where are the opportunities to align on that? And if and when at all possible, just really orchestrating that and helping to facilitate that by just making a calendar that makes sense for both you and your kids' schedules.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I'm going to move on to the last slide of this presentation, which many of you brought this up throughout. It was a consistent theme in many of your other insights, but just about the importance of practicing gratitude. And this is thankfulness just for what we have, and also for the people in our lives who support us, who we love. Right now, people are tired and confused and lonely and scared and frustrated. And letting others know how much you appreciate them, and also reminding yourself, and again, this is about the perspective of what you do have, whether it's your health. For those of us who still are fortunate enough to be working at a job that hasn't been impacted by this crisis, thankful for the strength and grit and courage of both ourselves and others. You know, Gratitude for what we have, and really just remembering our blessings. That can just be a really important perspective shift. And so if you can all share in the chat box, who or what are you grateful for right now?
Family. People are grateful for their partners, their pets, fresh food, that it's actually nice to have time stuck at home with their family. Thankful for new puppies, cats, for the community who's maintaining social distancing, friends and family, people who are working at the grocery stores right now, for being employed, that people are able to work from home right now. Really grateful for coworkers, for good health, that we are able to connect digitally, the ability to work from home, a warm place to sleep, to have a job. Someone's really thankful for their garden, their neighbors, sunny days. Really thankful for the doctors right now and other healthcare workers as well.
Thank you all for contributing your thoughts and ideas throughout this presentation. It's just so valuable and so useful. So now we're going to lead into questions. I know we've been pretty interactive and engaged throughout the presentation, but we'd love to hear your questions, comments, anything you'd like to share.
We got one question about more formal online team activities outside of lunches or maybe some of the happy hours. Do you have any tips for how to, best structure a more formal workplace team activity over
So
Zoom?
I know for a lot of meetings, people are structuring, a very explicit agenda around meetings, and whether it's everyone sharing an icebreaker, which is like, kind of in between the formal and informal. It's still at a meeting, but it kind of helps to add some camaraderie and solidarity to infuse that in the meeting. But also just encouraging people in these meetings to speak up, especially people who maybe are less vocal or have less of a voice. Normally, it can just be really unifying to incorporate that into the agenda and get people talking who aren't always leading the meetings or in charge of kind of moving the meetings, just so that everyone really gets a chance to share and add value to these meetings.
We also have a question about gratitude and kind of talking with someone who maybe is more negative and how you can help them find things to be grateful for.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And this was kind of pertaining back a few slides to the, reframing, right? The importance of kind of taking someone's negativity and saying, how can we, enhance or enrich kind of this perspective or outlook, and, what approach can you take to remind them of what's good. And so that can be really hard when someone's really upset or irrational or angry. But sometimes just really asking them questions and saying, I know it's hard right now, but what are, what gives you joy? What gave you joy today? What gave you joy this week? What are you looking forward to? Kind of asking these questions about what the meaning is in their life, who's significant to them, what they value, what they look forward to, what they're excited to continue once kind of life normalizes again and we persevere past this. So just kind of trying to get them to look at it from a different angle or lens, and to remind them of the future and the past, because the present can feel bleak. I think that can be a really effective way to get them to kind of shift their thought pattern.
We have another good question. I'm having trouble getting into a routine each day. Any tips for best getting going each morning?
Yeah, I mean, I find that the time chunking really helpful. And also sometimes if routine is hard for you and motivation is hard for you, experimenting with different types of tactics. So you might say, is it easier for you to do the same routine every day and just replicate that and ingrain it and automate it? Or is it better for you to make it a little different each day, but plan it? I think the planning and the preparation is what helps. Like if you know, okay, I'm going to start my morning off with a meditation or with exercise or with, a TV show or whatever it is that just kind of sets your morning off with a certain tone. And also on the other end, completing it with something that helps you promote calm and fall asleep. I think just right now it's crucial to experiment and see what works for you and what motivates you. And I would like to reopen this to everyone else about how everyone's staying on track and creating a really, consistent and more predictable routine amidst the chaos we're dealing with.
We've got someone who shared a link in the chat for a YouTuber that they follow that has some great working remote and routine tips.
Great.
Someone uses an app called Fabulous to get into consistent morning routine. Someone said adopting or fostering an animal can help create a routine.
A lot of people are suggesting that right now.
Someone else who works with clients is setting up times to talk with them at the same time each day.
Yeah, and that continuity, like what Haley just said, of having something or a number of things at the same time each day, it can feel comforting and it can feel empowering to control it. So if you decide, I want to do this every day at lunch, or you're kind of creating rituals for yourself and routines. So I think a lot of us are having to step away from old routines like going to the gym or going out with friends, happy hours, office dynamics. So really thinking about how can I take this opportunity to create routines that resonate for me, feel good to me, and will help motivate and energize me each day.
We've got another interesting question from an audience member. The question is there an activity for virtual teams for a positive affirmation exercise? I feel I have too many negative people on the team, and I want to do a few positive activities to help promote positivity during these challenging times.
Yeah, so I mean, I have heard a lot of activities where it's almost like a secret Santa concept, or maybe I guess it's not a secret Santa, but each person is assigned to one person and they validate or acknowledge or recognize that other person in some way. It's a great way to build kind of that team trust and respect and to let people know why they're admired and why they're appreciated. So that's one idea that comes to mind. And I can open this up to all of you for some more. You're also creative and it's inspiring to hear you. So we'd love to hear how you're doing the same.
Someone has used Bright Spot with teams as an icebreaker. Everyone shares something that lit them up throughout the week or day, and it helps each person seeing what's good, and everyone comes looking forward to sharing. Someone else said that they, during a work meeting with their manager, they proposed they start their check-ins by sharing something that brought them joy, hope, or laughter during this challenging time. Another person said their team at the start of each team meeting is doing a fun icebreaker just to like take the mind off of everything else. Lauren, we also had a question. Oh, go ahead, Peter.
We've got another question here from an attendee. Any tips on how to approach others living in your house? They could be elderly parents, roommates, or other family members who don't want to abide by the current restrictions. whether they be the shelter in places that are going into effect in a lot of areas, or social distancing kind of throughout the rest of the US and many other parts of the world?
Yeah, and I actually just read an article about this. There are a lot of memes going around about it too, how there's been this role reversal where the kids are upset that their parents are going out of the house, and no one really knows how to deal with it. But I do think, there's a two-pronged effect. One is just letting the person you love know that it concerns you, that you care about them, that and then asking them, what what are you what's holding you back from kind of falling in line with these regulations? What's the resistance to it? And trying to understand what their lens is, and why their outlook is one of nonchalance, or one of maybe not quite taking it seriously enough. I think those two together, just, the affirmation of, I love you, I'm concerned about this is frustrating and difficult for me, along with the questions about, why are you resistant, and, trying to get to the bottom of what their reasoning is. I think that can be a powerful impact when put together.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
One interesting question, maybe this could be a good one as we close out the presentation too, but we had an audience member ask to you, but I think we could even open this up to other participants. What has been the most impactful thing you've learned so far with your own experience in social distancing?
That's a really great question. I can start it, and then I'm going to kind of encourage all of you to chime in as well. I think it's just a reminder of how resilient we can be, and just how great it can be to be introspective, and get in touch with our inner thoughts, and rely on ourselves. So I think it's just maybe a reminder of how we can be independent, how we can be innovative in the face of adversity, and how we can find new ways to structure our time and to interact with others, but just different definitions and new methods. But we'd love to hear from all of you about, what um, the biggest eye openers, the aha moments that you've, the key takeaways that you've learned.
Someone said it's a really good reminder of what's important in life.
Yes.
Someone also said they felt really impactful when they're maintaining their social distance, but say hi to their neighbors or people they're passing by and really put a smile on their face. Someone else echoed that they're reminded what's really important in life, and that their community and family are some of those things. Family support. Someone said it's a really excellent time to reprioritize your life. Someone else shared that they think that's brought their family closer together, which has been a really great learning opportunity. Someone else says they're learning what it's like to be more of an introvert. Someone else just saying how we're all really the same, and this is kind of an equalizer in terms of suffering. So we can really kind of come together over that.
Really powerful, all of these.
Definitely. Well, unless we have any other questions, I just want to thank you, Lauren, for jumping on, and thank all of our participants who have had a ton of great input. As we've said, we'll send out this video and we'll send out a summary of some of these great responses and resources that the community has provided. But we really appreciate your time today, Lauren, and the time of our panel, of our participants.
And thank you so much to Peter and Haley for running the show here, and to Modern Health, which is just such an incredible company and providing a really necessary resource. I think now more than ever, we're realizing how important emotional and mental health is, and having support and having different ways, different outlets, and ways to channel these emotions. And I just want to thank you all so much for attending, for engaging, for participating. We've just really appreciated hearing from all of you, and we hope that you continue to utilize all the resources that Modern Health offers, and that it provides you with some reassurance and calm and relief during this very trying time.
And Lauren, if you don't mind going to the next slide, actually, here,
Sure, of course.
we've got just some other resources. So those that are a Modern Health user, we encourage you to reach out to schedule a session or chat with your coach on our app or web portal, where you'll also be able to find different digital tools, including meditations that we talked about today. For those that aren't, we know that a lot of you guys might not be Modern Health users, but we do encourage reach out to your HR team. They can often direct you to some of the resources that you do have, whether it's through an existing EAP or other support services. And then, without a doubt, feel free to contact us at Modern Health, visiting our website or on this alias. Next Monday, we will be running another one of these community support sessions about meditation. It will be a meditation workshop. And so would love, for those that are interested in learning more about meditation, maybe you haven't done it before, you have some experience with it, join. We'll be going over some meditations in what we think will be a great workshop.
And finally, just a quick plug, there'll be a pop-up after this for feedback. And you'll also receive a feedback survey. We'd love any feedback on how we can improve these sessions. And just thank you so much all for giving us some of your time today.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Have a good one.
Have a good weekend.